when people are at the top, they talk about all these things and it sounds phony. It's like, oh, well, I did this and I did that. And it sounds phony. I'm sure they did it, but to a person that's looking on the outside and obviously hasn't experienced any of what they've experienced in life, it's like, well, yeah, you say that, but you're making $1 million a year, like, or you're making $1 million a month. How can I really believe you? Or, you're not really open with how you're doing all of these things and what the amount of stress was. I'm just seeing the ups. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is post podcast cam. I'm actually recording this after I recorded the podcast. Just to let you guys know that it will be a little bit of a shorter podcast. Obviously, you can see that by the X amount of minutes it is. But I actually had to cut a topic out. I was talking about how much TikTok creators actually make per million views, and I said like 2,000 or something, and it's not even close to that. So the whole little bit where I'm talking about that just doesn't make sense because I'm using the wrong numbers. So I didn't want to include it. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. What is up, my podcast people? It is your boy Cam. I'm so used to saying KX, but it's your boy Cam back here with another podcast. This is episode 6, man. We're on episode 6 of the Cam Chronicles podcast. Hope you all are doing well today. I did not want to record this. I'm recording this on a Saturday, so it's better than the Sunday. But I did not want to record this. I'm doing this in the little break I have between my little work shifts that I try to do. But yeah, we got some cool. I say that every time. We got some cool topics. I got some interesting topics that I feel that are kind of cool. Some are relevant. Some are just like off the cuff. And when I say relevant, just that's not necessarily the right word, or I guess it is the right word. Relevant in terms of like what's going on today. In terms of the YouTube atmosphere and all that. So yeah, those topics coming up. But I guess the first question for you all, and I will answer it myself, but what podcast do you be listening to? Like, I know if you listen to this podcast and you're just listening to it for me, maybe you don't listen to podcasts. You're just listening to it for me, then I really appreciate that. That's awesome that you don't watch podcasts or you don't listen to podcasts and you're only watching it, watching mine to support me. I appreciate that. But for those that do watch podcasts or listen to podcasts, because I assume that if you're listening to this, you also listen to other podcasts. What other podcasts do you guys be listening to? I would love to hear suggestions. As you guys know, I'm always in the car, and I'm constantly listening to podcasts and new music. So I definitely need some new suggestions. To give you an idea of what podcasts I have been listening to, I I've been listening to some interesting podcasts. I've been listening to Logan Paul's podcast, The Impulsive. Um, Let me actually pull it up on my phone to see what all podcasts I have in the rotation. Um, Let me see. Sorry for the delay. The delay. Impulsive, I've been listening to definitely some funny content there, but also interesting content there with people on YouTube. I also listen to that just to stay up to date with what they talk about a lot of relevant stuff that's on YouTube and in the world that I want to be in. So it's and on top of that, it's funny, like I said. So that's always a plus. I listen to Views by David Dobrik. He hasn't posted a podcast in a minute, but I've listened to that for a long time. The Colin and Samir show. This is a podcast I just started watching or listening to, I guess I should say. And they talk about the statistics and the kind of back end behind successes in terms of like relevant success. So how just because I was saying David Dobrik, how David Dobrik was able to create his empire, how Mr. Beast was able to pull off this food pantry or his philanthropy channel and all that kind of stuff. And I really like that. I'm super into numbers. And I really like to kind of see how the money plays out, how the views play out, and things like that. So if you're super interested in the YouTube space and you are a content creator, and you like to kind of hear about that stuff and like to use that information to tweak your own content and the moves that you make in your brand and business, now definitely check them out. And they're just, yeah, they're definitely, their podcast is super informational, not like super funny or anything. Of course, they have jokes here and there, but very informative there. Listen to Peer to Peer by a guy called Agent and Low. I low key don't even know their real names, but they're like 2K YouTubers. But they don't necessarily talk about 2K on that podcast. It's just like life. Talking about life on the podcast, they talk about a range of different topics. But I guess they're in the gaming section in their podcast. But yeah, that's definitely a good one if you want to laugh. They are hilarious. I listened to the podcast by Tanner Fox, No F's Given. I think that it's just interesting to see how he grew up as a person. I will definitely watch his videos at a younger age. If you know who Tanner Fox is, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I watched his videos as a younger age. I was like, oh, that's dope that he's doing the YouTube journey. And just now to see that, I mean, he's literally just 1 year older than me. And to see what he's built and all of the, all the stuff that came or that happened in that time that, I was a kid watching him, all that stuff that happened to make, who he was and the empire that he's created. And he also has some pretty good guests on there as well. So that's definitely a banger of a podcast. Two more here. I won't bore you all with all the ones, but listen to the Iced Coffee Hour by Graham Stephan. If you don't know who Graham Stephan is, he's like a financial YouTuber that just talks about finance on YouTube. And it's not necessarily financial advice, but just to kind of tell, well, he does give financial advice. I would definitely say that in terms of how to kind of manage your money, how to save your money, and how to navigate the stock market, things like that. And so if you haven't checked them out and you're into like saving money and you really want to know more about your money, definitely check them out. Huge help for me, especially as a a young adult trying to managing more finances for the first time. You're not, obviously everything's not managed by your parents anymore. So that was a huge help. And I didn't start listening to his podcast back then, but I started listening to, watching his videos probably 2017 or so. So definitely a good podcast to listen to if you like, financial kind of things. It will be kind of on the boring side if you are just looking for comedy. Because that's not really what he specializes in. And I actually just started listening to this podcast like yesterday. It's called The Roommates. I've heard of them for a long time. Probably even knew of them before the space. And I'm not sure how many roommates they have in their podcast now. I know they had like 5 at the beginning. But basically they just talk about life. They range in a wide variety of topics and just talk about success and the journey of life and college and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in just kind of like life, people just talking about life and that are maybe a little bit older than you or the same age, then because I think most of them are like 25 to 30. So yeah, definitely good information there and useful things that you can use in your life. So that's what I'll be listening to. Let me know in the comments what you are listening to. I don't know how much everybody listens to podcasts. Obviously, I listen to it way more than the average person because I'm on the road 8 hours a day. So that's all I have for entertainment. But it's definitely good learning. But yeah, so the first big topic I want to talk about is kind of the decisions that YouTube is thinking about making. If you haven't heard and you just aren't up to date, YouTube is actually thinking about making 2 big changes. So that's the first one is getting rid of the dislike button. And the second one is having swearing in your videos, like moderate swearing, not a crazy amount of swearing, but moderate swearing not really affect the monetization of your video. So if you didn't know, YouTubers that definitely cuss a lot or swear a lot in their videos are less marketable to the brands that YouTube partners with. So, when they are in the partner program and they say, hey, I want to add here, I want to add there, there's only so many options YouTube has to choose from because that brand has specifically stated they don't want to be posted on any channel that swears. You know what I'm saying? So that spot, instead of 1,000 advertisements to choose from, YouTube only has like, maybe 500 or whatever the number is. I'm just giving you a random number. Those aren't facts. Yeah. So I'm gonna talk. I guess we'll talk about that one first. That doesn't necessarily affect my content. I definitely um, keep my content where it doesn't have any swear words in it. Mostly because I don't really do that in real life too much. I try to keep that. I'm working on that, but um, I don't really it's not really my character in real life anyway. So um, that's just natural, but also yeah, it doesn't affect my content because I even if I did, I would want my content to be pretty clean in order to be marketable. Like just plain and simple. In order to make more money and to be more brand friendly, to not just the ads that YouTube puts on my channel, but also the brands that I could partner with outside of YouTube. So those brand sponsorships and affiliate links and all those kind of things. And yeah, I think that's it's an interesting it's an interesting topic because there's a lot of different sides of it. I know some YouTubers are saying that it's a good thing, where that a lot of content creators have been getting punished for this, and that it's a good thing that they're actually letting up on this and that they're going to be able to get paid more money. But what I personally think is going to happen is that they're saying that these swear words are going to, swearing a little bit in your video is not going to affect your monetization. And even though it's going to say that it's not going to affect your monetization, I still feel like they're going to, hand select brands to be advertised on your channel. I think there's still going to there's still going to be a back end to whether your content is completely clean and family friendly or if it's not. And I think at the end of the day, that's just not going to change for a while in our society. So, that is what it is. But for that change, I really don't care because it doesn't really affect me. I know that's not a great attitude to have in all aspects in life, but for this one, it's like I'm not really. I don't know. I'm not really pressed about it. I'd be interested to see what you all think about it. But yeah, it's good that people are getting their money now, I guess. With the dislike button, I definitely think that they should not remove the dislike button. I think it gives, one of the things that I was reading in the article that I was reading, maybe I'll post it on screen or down below. They were talking about how the dislike button is the key to letting an audience know that the information in the video is not could be a scam. Like the video could be a scam. The information in the video could be just not good. And it's just the number one way to tell if this video is actually reliable. And I do agree with that to an extent. There's obviously, if you search up a certain topic, right? And let's say you're just searching up a math topic and it's how to do this problem a specific way. And it's a 50-minute video. And obviously, that these math problems take a long time. Excuse me. Say that person is doing it completely wrong, or they're doing it with a method that doesn't work for all problems and it only works for that math problem, like that specific problem with those numbers. Then you would only know the quickest way to tell that you shouldn't watch that 50-minute video is by the dislikes and likes, the ratio between the likes and dislikes. And so that's a very simple example. But in terms of like misleading information, or like fake news, things like that. Whether you're reporting on a disaster that happened, or somebody's life being taken, or just false information that can be out there on YouTube. I think that's just the best way for people to differentiate what is real and what's not real. And so when you take that away, I think that it just takes a little bit of power away from the people. And the other side of it is that the reason that they want to take it away is because it can. I think they said it was a study that showed that the dislike button can affect the mental health of the creator, which I think is true. I think that views, likes, comments, all of that affects the health of the mental health of the YouTube creator. No matter how much people would like to say that they aren't affected by it. It may affect them very little now because they're used to it, which is totally fine. But I think it's going to affect you either way, unless you're just good with the money. I don't know. Yeah, their main thing is that we don't want to promote like bullying in the firms in the terms of like just mass disliking on a video. But I guess you have to take the good with the bad. And I'm not sure. I think this is a noble effort, but it's not the solution. I think they're going in the right steps to prevent these things. They're going in the right steps to try to think of ideas to prevent bullying and improve the mental health of creators and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think taking away the dislike button is the right option because like I said, I think it's taking away power from the people, and the viewers feel like they don't have even more of a say. Yes, you still have comments, but I'm not reading more than the top 5 comments, and if that person is deleting comments, it's just the whole thing. So I don't know. That's interesting. Let me know your thoughts on those 2 issues in the comments. Yeah, maybe I'll respond. We'll see. All right. So then the next topic I want to talk about is something I was thinking about definitely when I was creating this channel and when I kind of just came onto the internet, like putting my stuff out there on the internet. And it's a topic of how to be transparent as possible without getting hate or without getting flack. And I know it's not possible to like put anything out there on the internet, which I mean, it's not sad. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it is sad that you can't put anything out there on the internet without getting hate because like I've said in other podcasts, I feel like there's a difference between um, criticism and hate. Obviously, if you what is the word that I want to put in front of credit? I can't speak. What's the word that I want to put in front of criticism? What is it called? Like nice criticism. Um, I can't even think of the word. I know you guys are saying it behind the screen right now. I can't think of the word, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Criticism and hate, different things. But yeah, it's kind of just the world we live in, right? You can't put anything out there on the internet without hate, especially if you have a good enough following. I mean, if you have 50 people and they're all your friends and family, okay, that's different. But yeah, my thing is I on this channel I want to be as transparent as possible. Obviously, there'd be things that I decide not to share. But how do you do that without, number one, at the beginning of the journey, the transparency is like it's almost overwhelming. And what I mean by that is sorry, I moved the mic. What I mean by that is like people are like, why are you telling me all of this about your life? Like I don't know. It's like, why would I want to know that? And with my transparency, it's not just talking about my life. I really just want to talk about. I mean, it coincides with my life because it's something I'm doing in my life. But I want to show the journey as a content creator and just making it as a new content creator that doesn't really have any like connections or whatever. Um, and but it's still at that beginning. It's like why are you showing this content to me? And then the hate comes from like I don't know how to explain it. I think that early on the hate comes from why are you even doing this? Like nobody really cares about the transparency that you're trying to do now. And one of the biggest things for me is doing the transparency early on so that people can go back and see. And it's like because I'm all over the place, but I want to say this. My biggest thing is that when people are at the top, they talk about all these things and it sounds phony. It's like, oh, well, I did this and I did that. And it sounds phony. I'm sure they did it. But to a person that's looking on the outside and obviously hasn't experienced any of what they've experienced in life, it's like, well, yeah, you say that, but you're making $1 million a year, like, or you're making $1 million a month. How can I really believe you? Or, you're not really open with how you're doing all of these things and what the amount of stress was. I'm just seeing the ups. And yeah, I kind of lost my thought, but that's why, I want to kind of show my journey. But yeah, that initial hate comes from, why are you doing this? There's no reason to actually be transparent on the internet because you're not going to make it. You're not going to actually go anywhere. You're just putting videos out there for no reason. Like you're going to look back on this when you're 40 and you're not going to really, yeah, you're just going to look back on this when you're 40 and you're going to be like, wow, I just put a video out there for 100 people to see, and it was complete garbage. But then it transitions, like you get that hate at the beginning, and then it transitions to a different kind of hate when you're transparent at the top. If you're transparent at the top with, okay, I make $1 million a year, this is how I make the $1 million, this is how much I do in sales, this is how much I have in donations from streams and all of this stuff, then people are like, oh, hey, you're transparent with this. This is great information. But now, why am I donating to you? Why am I making you money? And yeah, it's a tough it's a tough balance. I think I was listening to a or I say listening to, but I was watching a video of this guy that I think he's like 24, 25. He was a doctor, or still is a doctor, but kind of does off and on, or doesn't work as much as he used to. But he started a YouTube channel probably 2, 3 years ago. His name is Abi Abdal, I think. If I'll try to link it or put it on the screen. Hopefully I'll be able to do that in editing. But yeah, I was watching this video, super long video, it was like 40 minutes. And he was just breaking down the income that he had made over the past year. And he was saying how I made $1 million, which he actually made way more than $1 million, because he made like £1 million in 1 year. And he was breaking down all the different like streams of income that he had, and what was actually bringing in revenue for him. And he, at the very beginning, the reason that it was 40 minutes long, I mean, yes, because he had to break down all the things that he made money from. Dang, I hit the mic again. But he also at the beginning was talking from, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes about why he felt that he didn't want to make the video. And he was saying that, a lot of people are just going to come at me and say, you're making way too much, or you're trying to flaunt this in front of other people and just trying to make people feel bad. But he was saying that the ultimate reason that he decided to post a video was to educate people, saying that this is how I did this. This is how much I'm making from this. This is possible. Or if you want to say a fraction of this is possible, you want to say 10% of this is possible, then you could be making 100K a year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even if, no matter how you look at it, he just wanted to educate people and to how he built what he has, and how you can do the same thing, right? And I think that definitely speaks to where I want to be at with this whole journey as well. My whole thing is to educate people about what I'm going through, mistakes that I've made, so that you don't have to make it, or you can learn from me, or we can learn together, and just how to actually do what you love, without sacrificing a huge portion of your life, or years of your life doing something that you really didn't want to do. So there might be hate with that, but I definitely think the like your why in life prevails that every time. But it's just an interesting conversation about how do you be transparent as possible, to help those, but also not do it in a way that garners hate towards you or is imbued in a super negative light. And I almost feel like it's impossible, but I mean, like I said, it is impossible entirely, but overall, as in like you have a better scale of positivity than negativity. There's just a certain way to do it, and I that's a battle. That's definitely a battle. With what you put out, how you word certain things, and the content that you show, because it can come off the wrong way. So I know I was all over the place on that topic, but I just thought it was interesting, and something I'll probably continue to talk about as we go on here, because that will be a part of my story. So yeah. All right. So this topic is going to be interesting. I probably put this in the topic in the title, and people were like, "What?" But I wanted to talk about drugs in this podcast, and I do. For those who don't know me, I don't do drugs. I don't really. I don't advocate for people to do drugs. Obviously, if you do that, that's on you. I mean, obviously I can't tell you what to do. But I'm a strong believer in being sober, and like having the sober mind. And yeah, it's funny because as a kid, I used to think that being sober was like, was it was the other way around. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I bring up that anecdote, but I thought that being sober was like being drunk. And then I used to look at the signs that will always say like drive sober or whatever. I'm like, dang, they really want people to drive drunk out here? Like, it didn't correlate. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, I watched this video by this guy on YouTube. His name is Sneeko. I'll definitely link the video. It'll probably be in the top. Oh, I actually pointed to the right place. It'll be in the top right of your screen, hopefully, if I remember to tag it. But I can't remember what the video was titled, but he was talking. Oh, no, he was like, why not to do drugs from a drug user? And I was naturally interested in this because I'm like, oh, well, what's his reason? And he was talking about the fact that, excuse me, when he was doing drugs, he felt happier. He felt happier than life. Like he felt that he was able to experience things that were out of this world, and he felt that he was able to be happy with $30 of whatever substance he was taking, right? And he said the reason that people shouldn't take drugs is because it would become an addiction that is taking the easy way of life. And the way he put it was, I thought it was kind of like, it was just a totally different perspective that I haven't seen before. And maybe you all have, but he was talking about the, that drugs were almost like cheating at life. If you, he said this example, if you cheat on the ACT, and you get away with it, you get a 36 and you get into Harvard, right? You got in there, you're there, but you don't feel like you've earned it. And that becomes something that lingers in your mind, right? And he equates that to drugs as being the cheating in life, that drugs are like, oh, that's the easy way of just kind of resolving all issues, not worrying about anything. And just kind of being just, I don't know, just being happy in some sense, without worrying about problems, right? But you don't really feel, you can't ever feel like that without that drug. You cannot ever feel like that unless you continue to keep cheating. But with I think the other part of the example was talking about just working and actually achieving a level of success that you want, even though you spent the time on the journey, and put in countless hours and years of work on whatever you're trying to get to. At least because you put in that work, you feel that moment of happiness, that moment of like super happiness, where you reach that 100,000 subs, or you reach that 1 million subs, or you reach that master's degree or that doctorate degree. That moment of super happiness is warranted, and yeah, you don't have any regrets, or you don't have any there's no negativity to that degree of happiness, and it also stays with you. Like it's not something that you need to continue to achieve over and over, or that you have to continually cheat to stay at that level. It's like you've achieved that level, and now you can say that you did that. Um, and I just thought that was a really interesting perspective, and take on drugs, because I don't know. I'm not watching too much drug content. Like I said, I don't do drugs, so it was an interesting. It was just an interesting video. But I always said that it's when people ask me that why I don't do drugs, I could go into the whole sober thing, but it's like I also don't do drugs because I know that if I find that this actually taking a drug could makes me happy for a period, or like say I had a good trip on whatever it is, that time, I know that's going to become addicting. No matter how much, um, addicting, what's the word? How addictive that drug is, really. in terms of science is like I'm going to become addicted to that thing because I like how it makes me feel, um, and of course, then my body's going to become like uh, what dependent on that as a crux or whatever over time. But yeah, I just know I'm too scared of that happening. It's like, oh, it's just one time. You can do it on. You celebrate and do that. It's like, nah, man, I'd rather not. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting. I thought it was an interesting video. You should definitely go watch it. I definitely didn't explain it the right way. So definitely go watch that video. And let me know your take. Come back to this comment section, not his comment section. He's got enough views. Come back to this comment section. Let me know what you think about it. And yeah, uh, what else do I want to talk about? I think that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about. Uh, that's all my notes for this podcast. I wanted to have another another little topic, but I don't think I had that topic, man. Again, a huge shout out to everybody that has been watching these podcasts all the way through, and listening to these podcasts all the way through. I really appreciate it. Definitely working on the Apple Music and Spotify, getting those up as soon as possible. Just kind of trying to work out some logistics here. And that's what I was going to talk about at the beginning, man. I don't know. My allergies are killing me. I don't know if anybody else has like springtime allergies or a pollen allergy, but they are just killing me. My throat is dry. My nose is stuffy and my eyes are itchy. It's crazy. Um, but anyway, trying to get those, the podcast up on Apple and Spotify so you guys can listen to it instead of watching it. Excuse me. If you're trying to, listen to it in the car or whatever. And yeah, we're gonna have some more videos on this channel. I will be. I decided not to against making another channel. I know I probably spoke about creating another channel for like my like life updates or just other videos I'd like to share in terms of how I'm doing in terms of I use that too much. Just basically how I'm coming along in the content creation process, different things that I have, accomplished or different things I'm working through. But with those videos, I think I'm just going to continue to put them on Cam Chronicles and not make another channel. I don't want to spread my audience too thin. So I think that's the best decision in that effort. I probably will create another channel for clips of this podcast. So if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can just watch the clips. And see if you're interested in that episode or that topic or whatever, and then watch the full podcast, hopefully. But yeah. I think we time to go into the Cam cheat codes. All right, guys. So today's or this podcast Cam cheat codes. I got to get better at like not trying to wrap up the podcast before I do the Cam cheat code. But eventually get there. We're learning this. It's a process. But this week's Cam's cheat code is to find the platform where you can be most unique on and stick to that. Make the most content on that platform. What I mean by that is in terms of YouTube, I feel that I am a streamer, but I really feel that I can bring creative ideas in terms of longer form video. Not super long form, but that 10 to 20 minute range kind of video style. I feel that I can create that content and the best. And I feel that YouTube is the best platform to showcase that kind of content. And that's why I focus mainly on YouTube. Obviously, I have certain different social medias in terms of Twitter, TikTok, all of that kind of stuff. But you really want to make sure that you find the social media platform or whatever platform that caters the most to the content that you can create that is unique. So if that 1 minute how to do something or how to or that was the same thing, dance or what a cool thing that you have in your garage. If that kind of content is what you do best, then TikTok is your platform. If Twitter, I don't necessarily know the money making potential of Twitter, but let's go to Instagram. If Instagram is your thing, if you're good at photography and you feel like you can get sponsorships doing that and sell your stuff, and that's where you can be most unique, and that's where you feel your content is going to be most appreciated, then focus mainly on that. I think there's a lot of people that, they get into YouTube because that's I think the most pushed social media um, in terms of like video content or anything that's not 1 minute. And they're like, okay, well, I can do this, and I want my channel to grow and do all this, and it's like, well, that wasn't really the best platform for you. Maybe that's more Instagram, and then I see people that are on Instagram with 5 minute videos. It's like nobody's on Instagram to watch 5 minute videos. If that's the kind of content that you have, you need to reevaluate what you're actually the type of content that you're actually doing. And if you want to stay on Instagram, you need to shorten that to, 3 minutes or less if you're going to make shorts or reels or whatever. But really just 1 minute. And if you don't want to change that content, move over to YouTube, where you don't even have to be combined to that 5 minute video. You can just talk for, or create content for whatever amount of time on YouTube, and develop an audience there. So that is the cam cheat code for the week. Yeah, just make sure you're on the right platform and you're utilizing that platform to the max, to the best of your ability. Because that's how you're gonna get noticed. You're not gonna get noticed by having a 20-minute video on TikTok, right? Like, if they allowed that, people would not watch 20-minute videos on TikTok. I don't come there for that kind of content. Come there for 30 seconds or less, or a minute or less if it's super interesting. You know what I'm saying? So that's the cam cheat code. Like I already said, man, thank you guys for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe down below if you did enjoy the podcast. If you didn't, or if you did, let me know what your thoughts let me know what your thoughts were on the episode, the topics I talked about. Did you agree or disagree with them? And hopefully we can have that conversation in the comments. But with all that being said, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.